Hey guys, more of this Mafia in Australia stuff. I'm going to go back into a little bit of history. So Calabria, often called the toe of Italy's boot, is the home of a secret society and way of life known as 'Ndrangheta, or the Calabrian Mafia. In early days, the 'Ndrangheta were known as, horse and cattle thieves, extortionists, basically brigands of the hills. They were into rackets like cigarette smuggling and protection rackets, moving counterfeit products and obviously, theft rings. But the really big one in the 1980s were the kidnap for ransom schemes. It's actually known that some of the Calabrian and Dranghetisi responsible for the kidnapping of this guy, Paul Getty III or Getty Jr. He was the grandson of the well-known industrialist and millionaire John Paul Getty. They cut the poor guy's ear off before his notoriously stingy grandfather paid the ransom. This guy that I've spoken before, Domenico Barbaro, Australiano, he likely brought over some of that ransom money. Some of that money was actually traced to Australia, used to set up some of the marijuana plantations. But anyway, for decades it was the era of the Sicilian mafiosi with their links to the USA. And the bloody reign of Toto Riina and Bernardo Provenzano caused a heap of turncoats after they basically tried to take on the state. And they, did some pretty horrific things, killed some kids and murdered anti-mafia crusaders, Falcone and Borsellino, blew them up in their cars, basically martyred them. These guys who are, remembered fondly for the amazing work they did. But anyway, the state basically crushed the Sicilian Mafia in the 90s. The Camorristi and Napoli were focused on their own internal things, so the 'Ndrangheta were in a prime position to take over the heroin and cocaine trade. And so they did, Now, drug trafficking is the engine around which everything else revolves. And by the early 2000s, 'Ndrangheta had forged direct links with the South American cartels. And by the late 2000s and 2010s, the 'Ndrangheta was recognised as, one of the most powerful criminal syndicates in the whole world. Unlike the Sicilian Mafia, the Calabrese groups were formed around actual bloodlines, with families united through strategic marriages. So obviously this made the cells extremely difficult to infiltrate as they operate almost exclusively through blood relatives. There's an extremely low rate of turncoats and informants in comparison to other syndicates. By the new millennium, Italian investigators confirmed the presence of the Crimini Australiano, and obviously they would come with the migrants, and who else to stand over than your own people. But anyway, that's basically some early history of Calabrian Mafia. As always, check out my blog, a heap of information there. There's contact information on the blog if you want to engage. I'm always happy to talk a bit more about this stuff. Anyway, love you guys. Bye.